Okay, I just finished season 8, episode 3, titled The Long Night, and wow. 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 It's a really heavy episode, and it takes a long time to digest because it's a battle episode. It's a battle episode that clocks at 1 hour and 22 minutes long. That is absolutely insane, okay? 82 minutes of battle. So there are a lot of different stages to the battle, a lot of different pieces. There are so many characters involved in the battle, and when they say a lot of people are going to die, they mean it. A lot. Like unimaginably a lot. A lot of main characters died, and I mean, I just like like they weren't kidding. Like so many main characters died on this episode. I'm shocked. None of them are absolutely tragic, like tear-inducing tragic other than the last one. Well, not exactly. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, spoilers, duh. When Theon died, that hit me. I almost teared up. Uh man, so yeah, I'm gonna talk about this battle. It's really crazy because before the battle actually begins, before the fighting actually begins, there's this really long silence, like that scene in the Lawrence of Arabia where everyone just assembles and wait for the battle to begin. That one was really intense. Before the battle actually begins, Melisandre returns for one last episode. She comes into the episode at the beginning and dies at the very end. But she wasn't killed at the end. She basically killed herself by taking off the thing and turning into dust. Actually, she doesn't really have to die, but I guess she killed herself anyways. I guess that's a big shame. Um, yeah, when Melisandre lit the swords of the Dothraki on fire, that scene was actually epic. The cinematography of the episode was actually really powerful and moving when it comes to fire versus ice, light versus darkness. And after the Dothrakis uh, got their swords lit up, they rushed forward and they all died. And that scene was scary AF. And then the battle actually begins. Waves after waves after waves of White Walkers just rush into Winterfell. There were these trenches. They were lit up, but the White Walkers they crossed the trenches anyway because there were so many White Walkers. They built a bridge over the trench using White Walker bodies, and then the Night King arrives and he reanimates all the White Walkers again. And there's this moment in the episode where it just hits the absolute low. Everybody's dying, everybody's in a dire situation, and it's like the Night King is definitely gonna win, man. It's kind of crazy. Ed, the Lord Commander of Night's Watch, is killed. Well, the entire Night's Watch, the entire Night's Watch is basically gone by now. The Dothrakis are gone. The Unsullied, probably 90% of them are gone. Winterfell citizens, probably 50% at least. They're all gone. I mean, there were a lot of Winterfell people in the crypt, and until the end, where White Walkers infiltrated the crypt. The White Walkers also infiltrated the library, and there's this scene where Arya somehow ended up in the library and she had to escape. That scene was tense, but nothing beats the final scene. Nothing. That scene where Beric Dondarrion dies, that scene was painful to watch. That other scene where Lyanna Mormont died, that was also painful to watch. I was like, okay, if Lyanna Mormont dies in this episode, how will the writers handle it? Because no way is she gonna just die like that. Like, she's a really ferocious little girl, and if she somehow does something crazy right before she dies, like, it's gonna be like epic, right? Indeed, something epic happened. She killed a giant, and it's like this, what's the name? Like the little guy kills Goliath story, and it really hits hard. I think Jorah died too, which is really really sad. But I think this is like the perfect death for Jorah, like dying while Daenerys sobs on top of him. I think that's probably the most beautiful death that Jorah could ever have. The second last scene, yeah, oh my gosh. There were supposedly a lot of people around Bran defending him. All those people died, except for Theon. Theon, with his spear, rushed straight ahead at the Night King, and of course, no brainer, the Night King stabs him, boom, dead. And indeed, Theon was a good man, and man, Theon. I didn't think he would die. Neither did I think that Arya would be the one who kills the Night King. I thought Jon Snow would be the one to kill the Night King because it would be so symbolic. Jon Snow of the North, Jon Snow, Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, kills the Night King. But no, it's Arya. Actually, that's actually kind of smart because Arya says, not today to the god of death, and she kind of did that in the episode, so that's actually really amazing. Overall, this episode is incredibly ambitious. The director, Miguel Sapochnik, is actually responsible for Hard Home and Bob, and he was also directing this episode, and I could tell the writers and the director spent so much time trying to separate each stage with each act, with each character doing different scenes in different locations. Like, it's a real complicated battle, not gonna lie. And if you really want to make a battle 82 minutes long, it better be extremely climactic at the end. And also, it better have an extremely low moment. And I guess the one thing that I dislike about this episode is that like 80% of the episode are just pure fights and noise without any ups or downs, but this happening, now this, now that, now this, while they're intense, and I really rooted for a lot of the main characters there. I guess the pacing could be a little more well adjusted. But anyway, I'm enjoying this episode. I'm giving it a strong 8 to a light 9 on this episode.